Coming to you live from our studios here in Kokomlimle in Accra, this is Joy News Prime. I am Emefa Apau. In the headlines for this hour, the Tema Regional Police Command arrests a suspected human trafficking syndicate at Sabrepo, a community in the Greater Accra region.
The two motorbikes arrived here, that was yesterday. So they break into the house, got there. So they found up to 12 guys in there. You can see them, they were even like they were hungry, making white like they were in cell living. Seriously, that the way the situation was so bad.
Also tonight, Bank of Ghana fights back, insisting he's done no wrong and mounts strong defense of $250 million headquarters, insisting there's been no procurement on a day the NDC minority notified the police of its intention to occupy the central bank. And also in part 2 of our Hotline documentary, Whispers in the Dark, will put a spotlight on the tragic phenomenon of children taking their own lives and what parents and the states could do to reduce the tragic losses.
In this case, it's unique, and you just wonder, what was the person experiencing, right? Why were you not available? What could you have done differently to have
Much later, all-white meditative procession kickstarts 13th edition of the biggest street festival in Africa, Charlie Wote. And at the top of the hour 8, Pius Kojubaka comes up with Prime Business.
An economist, Professor Benson, questions central bank's financing of government's activities between 2020 and 2022 on the economy.
In the theories and then the empirics that we study, the banks have the tendency to identify which sectors of the economy that are performing well. So to say that you are financing, government using commercial bank reserves, I hold a different view on that.
Razak Musbah follows immediately with Prime Sports.
Ghanaian long jumper Deborah Aqua calls for support to help her return to her best after failed promise to help her undergo treatment.
I'm not asking Ghana to give me the whole money in the world, I'm saying help. I'm not saying give me like everything you have, like support. So let me say that, support, just a little support, because I'm already supporting myself.
Joy News Prime is live on Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, and all social media platforms. You're on myjoyonline.com, on DSTV channel 421, GoTV is 125. As always, this is Joy News, and we are your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Please do stay on for details. Many thanks for your company once again. We'll start off from Sabrepo, a region or a town in the Tema regional capital, and the police command there has arrested a suspected human trafficking syndicate in that community. 15 laptops were retrieved from the 5-bedroom house where a dozen West African nationals between the ages of 18 to 30 were allegedly abused and forced to engage in cybercrime in exchange for food. Joy News, Carlos Coloni has the rest of the story.
Residents speculate the 12 individuals believed to have been trafficked from the West African sub-region are allegedly being held against their will by their Nigerian captors coerced into the world of cybercrime. Disturbing signals from within these walls have left neighbors perturbed, ultimately prompting them to raise an alarm that led to apprehension of all 14 occupants.
I stay behind the house that the incident is happening. I saw one guy just waving like that, but I thought the person was making fun of me because I never saw anybody like that. I hear their voices, but I don't know the people staying there. So the person was waving. Then I called my husband and see somebody's like, the person is making fun of me. Then my husband said, oh, let me check. Then he looked. They said, no, it's like the person is calling for help. Then my husband went for ladder. At first, he climbed the wall and saw that the person said, the person was making sign language like that. And the hand is shaking. It's like the person is weak, very, very weak. He cannot talk. So when he was making the sign, then my husband went for ladder and took his phone that he want to take picture. But because of the net in the room, the net that they used to cover the burglar proof, there's no way he can do the video. So he got down and another brother came and the person started calling for help. Then he said, call for call, he was doing like this, call for, he was doing it. So when he was doing it, then my husband said, no, he's saying that we should call for police. So he want to go. So they went in calling for police. When they were calling, then he went to Accra. Then when they came out, you see them, all of them, it's like they are malnourished. They don't have enough strength to, even to watch the sun is difficult for them. You see them skinny like that. So it's like they've been here for a long time. Because at times around 2 o'clock, 12 o'clock, you'll be hearing them fighting at the back.
This was the scene when a combined team of police and military stormed the house on Sunday afternoon to rescue the victims following distress calls from concerned neighbors. According to the resident, the victims who appeared malnourished were being compelled to participate in cybercrime in exchange for food.
Through the patrol team, the 2 motorbikes were arrived here now yesterday. So they break into the house, got there. So they find up to 12 guys in there. You can see them, they were even like they were hungry, making white like they were in cell living. Serious in it, like the way the situation was so bad. They brought them for wherever they are coming from, put them there, they were hungry. So if you don't get clients, you can't eat. So you have to work and then get the number of clients before you can feed you. So they are there, you're not feeding them. So he called for the help. So he want to go back to his country.
Actually, it was against their will. The boys, it was against their will. What I heard from one of the boys was complaining that they were kept in there without food. They were kept there without food. So they were looking very pale.
Assemblyman of Sebreport electoral area, Prince Jacob Ajavor, confirms the incident in an interview with Joy News.
When the police came, at a point they said they wanted to take the people, the inmates, away. And the residents said no, they wanted to see them physically. So they would not let the police. In fact, the police car came, it was a pickup that was not branded in the police colours. So that made people suspected the police were going to maybe cover something. So I spoke to them, called the commander, and then later they sent a police branded pickup. And then a neighbor also called some soldiers. They came together, we had some agreement, went to look at inspect the rooms. We counted 12 young men, and then plus their boss, maybe the guy who was in charge of the boys in there, with about 15 or so laptops. And those were carried away, followed up to the police station at MF police station. And then we had, because it borders on the immigration issue, they had to go to Tema. So in the evening, they and the soldiers went to Tema with the boys.
In light of escalating spate of crime in the area, residents who say they now fear for the lives of their kids vehemently oppose the reintegration of the West African nationals into the community.
About the police there, we've lost trust in them totally. Because of yesterday, what happened here, you could see that people no longer believe in the police force again. If not for the military people that came for the intervention, I wouldn't think they will allow them to send the guys away.
Need them again at all. Not to be told them to leave the area. Because this to the immigration should find where they need to go back. Because they can't group themselves, men in one room, about 8 or 15. Even we are not safe.
Joy News sources at the Tema Regional Police Command say investigations have been launched into the incident.
Reporting from Sebreport here in the Katamanso municipality, my name is Carlos Caloni for Joy News.
And we'll follow that and bring you more updates subsequently. There's also more of that story on myjoyonline.com and all our social media platforms. Away from that, he has 8 days more to either resign or face a series of political actions, including the occupation of his premises by the NDC minority. In fact, today, the NDC MPs formally notified the police of their intention to protest at the Bank of Ghana HQ and to force the resignation of Dr. Ernest Addison, the governor. Well, with 8 days to go, the Bank of Ghana governor is tonight fighting back, insisting he has done no wrong. In face, he declares the economy would have collapsed but for the BOG's intervention. He also insists that there were no procurement breaches regarding the building or the awarding of the contracts of the BOG headquarters.
The IMF placed a high premium on this particular debt scenario involving that Bank of Ghana, as that was the only scenario that was going to allow the government to meet the debt threshold that would allow Ghana's IMF program to proceed for board approval. The Bank of Ghana accepted this proposal on that basis, given how crucial it was to secure the fund-supported program and the benefits that would inure to the economy, as it would help to reset the economy and prevent a total collapse with much broader socio-economic implications. A Bank of Ghana board meeting was therefore arranged to get the board pass a resolution to this effect. The bank acted in good faith for the broader interest of Ghana's economy. The debt included all the legacy debts of Government of Ghana dating back to 1992, including the overdraft to 2022, overdraft to Cocoa Board, the COVID-19 bond, and even Bank of Ghana holdings of Telecom Malaysia bonds and the Tema Oil Refinery bonds issued by government. As of 2015, the accumulated claims on government and Cocoa Board were about 13 billion Ghana cedis. The debt, therefore, is not about recent debt alone. Almost all lending from the IMF, including the external credit facility and rapid credit facility during the COVID-19 pandemic, and financial sector resolution bonds, have been presented in the recent discourse as Bank of Ghana lending to government. This is not factual. It is important to state that losses reported were technical losses arising from the haircut and the application of accounting standards, in particular IFRS 9, to estimate expected credit losses over the tenor of the government debt held by Bank of Ghana. It is not money lost by the Bank of Ghana through its operations in 2022. Rather, one should look at this as a reflection of the total cost of the economic and social crisis that the country has faced over the years, and an attempt to resolve a major structural problem of the Ghanaian economy.
So that's Governor Dr. Ernest Addis. We'll bring you more on business, but really, like I said, the NDC has already served notice to the police about their intention to picket or occupy the Bank of Ghana head office here in Accra until they're actually demanding the resignation of the governor of the Bank of Ghana as well as that of his deputies. We've been interacting with the National Communications Officer of the NDC, Sami James. He's been speaking to my colleague Evan Spencer on Top Story.
None of the flimsy justifications he canvassed justifies the decision by the Bank of Ghana to engage in this totally misplaced priority at this time. You know, first of all, we have indicated our opposition to this project, not because we disagree in principle with the idea that the Bank of Ghana needs, a new office complex. We have opposed this project on three main grounds. The first is the timing of the project. The second is the cost of the project. And the third has to do with the processes leading to the project. And with regards to the first issue of timing, what we have said is that in this critical time, where Ghanaians are going through excruciating hardships because the Ghanaian economy has been virtually collapsed. We have, for the first time in 4 decades, defaulted on our debt obligations as a country. Currently, the government is imposing a draconian, punitive debt restructuring program on bondholders and government creditors. You have serious liquidity challenges, that the government as an institution is going through with its attendant hardships on the people. You cannot, in the midst of all these crises, decide that you are going to invest a whopping $250 million into an ultra-modern, palatial office complex at this time.
Well, away from that, political parties, the smaller ones, are raising strong objections as they demand the Electoral Commission to reverse its decision to exclusively utilize its district offices for the upcoming limited voter registration exercise in September. The coalition of parties asserts that the EC had previously tabled similar proposals during an inter-party advisory committee meeting, IPAC, but these suggestions were dismissed due to concerns about potential disenfranchisement. However, despite these reservations and the previous agreement, the EC declared on Thursday, August 17, 2023, that it will proceed with the registration solely within its district offices, disregarding the party's apprehensions. In attendance were the representatives from GCPP, amongst others. The group says they are the upcoming limited voter registration exercise in September. They are against it. Now, the coalition of parties asserts that the EC had previously tabled similar proposals during the IPAC meeting, amongst others. We can hear from them.
Electoral Commission will embark on a voters registration exercise in all the 268 district offices of the Commission. The registration exercise will commence on Tuesday, the 12th of September, 2023, and end on Monday, the 2nd of October, 2023. The registration will take place in all the 268 district offices of the Commission, including the newly created Guan district. Each district office will serve as a registration center. The Commission staff at the district, that is the district electoral officers, the assistant district electoral officers, our secretaries and other staff will serve as our registration officers.
Now we can hear from the spokesperson of the group of political parties, General Secretary for the Great Consolidated Popular Party, Citizen Atodazi, who described the EC's decision to go ahead and use their offices as a stab in the back.
To educate and encourage the general public in order to build confidence and trust in the Electoral Commission of Ghana, as their work has serious implications to ensuring a free, fair and transparent electoral process and elections whose outcome will be accepted by all. All the political parties that were present unanimously objected to the registration exercise being limited to the 268 offices of the Electoral Commission, as this was going to affect the participation of the general public, create unnecessary tension due to concentrated numbers that will bring unbearable costs to individuals. So it is possible that most of these are in tertiary institutions. We could easily set up registration centers at those tertiary institutions to even facilitate the process of registration than limiting it to only the district offices. We also want to publicly call on the Electoral Commission through its chair, Mrs. Jane Adukwe Mensah, to rescind their decision and make the process more accessible and painless to enable the average Ghanaian who is eligible to exercise their right and entitlement to be registered as a voter.
Well, so that's it. We're yet to hear from the Electoral Commission on this latest development, but we have more politics. We'll get back to it shortly, but news just coming in this evening. We're told that the Education Minister has just directed that members of CTAG who have been on strike since the 1st of August should not be paid. You'll recall that the ministry had earlier issued a letter to GTEC and colleges of education to start writing names of those who have not been participating in learning and teaching activities in the various 46 colleges as a result of the strike that was embarked on by CTAG. A statement is just coming in. We'll put that on the screen for you. So this is a letter that has been written to from the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, to the Controller and Accountant General, and it's just dated today. And what we are learning is that it's titled Non-Validation and Payment of Salary of CTAG members for the month of August 2023. We write at the instance of the Honorable Minister of Education, requesting you not to pay monthly salary and allowances for the month of August 2023 to the teaching staff of all 46 colleges of education, CTAG. However, any arrears before August 2023 should be validated and paid. And it goes on to count on the corporation and urgent action on this particular issue. And that's the Director of Administration signed on behalf of the Director General of GTEC, Saka Sayuti. And this is copied to the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Finance, and the principals of all colleges of education on this particular situation. I'm sure you've been monitoring this, and we'll definitely be getting in touch with CTAG on this. And this is an issue that we've been following for some time. The NLC had ordered that CTAG goes back to the classroom. There was also some order to government to pay monies owed CTAG, but that was not done, for which reason CTAG remained on strike. They are still on strike on this, whilst students in these colleges also write exams, raising concerns about their tutors not being in the classrooms. So CTAG had earlier defied, the threat from government that if they do not work in August, they would not be paid. Now, government has made good on that particular threat. So what it looks like now is that CTAG members will not be paid for the month of August because they were not in the classrooms. We'll get reactions from CTAG once we're able to raise the president of CTAG, Prince Obinghiming, on this, their immediate reaction to this. We'll be getting GTEC also on this particular developing story here on Joy News Prime. Do stay with us. But let's focus on our Drive Safe campaign now. And we've been asking questions about why most traffic and street lights in the country are non-functional for some time now, especially those in the Greater Accra Regional Capital. Tonight, as is emerging that non-payment of contractors is the key reason behind this particular malfunction. I'll tell you more shortly, but first, my colleagues Samuel Imbura and Nana Boache Dankwa visited some spots notorious for this phenomenon and came through with this report. First, Samuel Imbura from Awo Shibani Yard last night here in Accra.
How critical or how dire is the situation here without traffic light, without street light? How are you coping as residents?
Look, the situation in Banyard, as expected, Banyard traffic light is so critical and so nasty. Let me use the word nasty to extend that. Every single day we see accidents happening. Accidents, both pedestrians and car being smashed, and a whole lot of what when we talk about road accidents. If we have to count the number of fatalities in terms of road accident fatality, we should be counting Banyard as one of the main contributing factors.
How long has this been the situation?
Ever since I've been here for the past 4 years, okay, but ever since I came here, I understand it's like 6 years straight. 6 years straight.
So have you, alerted the assembly member, all those who matter on this issue?
They all know, they have mentioned, they've gone to the AMA, the assembly to complain directly. The assembly came to do some assessments here and all that, promising that they will come back and get things done and all that. Joy FM even also pick feed from here, reporting on the issue, thinking they will come and do something about it. GTV came in, and all that just boiled on one thing, and that is just the power pack. There's a power pack right there.
There's a power pack across?
There is a power pack box right there that controls this traffic light.
Now we can hear from my colleague Nana Boache Dankwa Yadom interacting with some residents of Amakum.
In several communities, dysfunctional traffic lights and street lights have led to traffic congestion, wrong vehicle and pedestrian directions, motorist conflicts and prolonged travel times. The poor illumination at night and safety at road intersections have become a worry to motorists and commuters.
And this traffic light always, sometimes it goes on, sometimes it goes off. And even yesterday, as one of my brother was saying, there was an accident here with a VIP and a motorbike. And this traffic light is the inner city traffic light from Kumasi to Ejiso and Accra. And you can see behind you, you have seen that those from Accra to Kumasi, they just stop here and watch those from Kumasi to Accra to come before they move because of the traffic light. And I don't know who is responsible for the traffic light to maintain or to repair when it goes off anytime. Is it the road minister or is it any other institution who's supposed to do the traffic light at all time? In Kumasi here, I can tell you and I can show you that those living in Kumasi, we don't have traffic light. And it's true. This is a highway traffic light and it's off. So those from the left and those from the right, who's supposed to pass and who's supposed to wait.
Hey, traffic, there be a problem. Like traffic,
We really do have a problem with our traffic lights over here. Sometimes when the drivers use the stretch, they do get confused.
There be an accident. Now the M1 kakra say, "I Kumasi Center."
City authorities really do use the stretch, so I am really surprised as to why we have some dysfunctional traffic lights coupled with dysfunctional street lights.
Came from penny for UST, Omuna Manum see I am Mofa, Echo Mojumum. The traffic near Sa, M1 saw Mumba home.
Well, so that's the situation in Amakum, as my colleague Nana Boachi Dankwa Yadom reports. We'll be hearing from the National Road Safety Authority on the real reason as to why we have this non-functioning traffic and street lights in most parts of the country, plus recent data on the traffic crashes situation from January to July this year. My colleague Kofi J. Minta will join us shortly. But let me get back to the story that's just coming in from GTEC, that the directive from GTEC to the heads of these 46 colleges as a result of the seated strike that they've been on since the 1st of August over some working conditions, in spite of several calls for them to head back to the classroom. Well, it's official now that they may not be paid for the month of August. In fact, they will not be paid for the month of August because there's a directive from GTEC to the Controller and Accountant General's Department. Let me bring in the president of CTAG, Prince Obinghima. Thank you so much for your time here on Joy News Prime. So we're just seeing a letter that's been written by GTEC to the Controller and Accountant General's Department over your salary for August. Has this been brought to your attention, and what really is the reaction of CTAG to this latest development? Do you see that coming?
Good evening, everyone. Let me say thank you to you for this wonderful opportunity. It came to our attention a couple of minutes ago, and as a union or in unionized business, I think there is not a common, or there is not an unusual occurrence. At the national level, we are meeting this evening to look at it. We take the necessary advice from our experts who look at it and then explore the best possible legal option for our members. So we are meeting on it, and then we should be able to make the best out of it for our members.
Well, but earlier we know that there were scheduled meetings between CTAG and then also the NLC and government for that matter. Were there no conclusions to the concerns that you're raising, and then also the meetings that you held over the period?
I think we had our last meeting with the NLC last Wednesday, and all of us were there. We are to appear before the NLC again on the 30th. You were all there, the media. I think everybody heard what happened. So as I said, we are meeting over it. We're going to look at the statement that has come. I mean, just suppose it with the law, look at the situation, look at the NLC and all of this, and then we should be able to make a determination by tomorrow, God willing.
Is CTAG surprised at this latest development?
We aren't much surprised because, I mean, like we said, when you take some of these actions, these are the probable situations that you are likely to encounter. So for us as a union, this is not the first time. 2018, we had to endure a similar thing before. What we wanted, we had. So we weren't much surprised.
Make you call off your strike.
Hello, I beg your pardon.
I'm asking if this particular action will lead to the end of CTAG strike.
It doesn't rest with me, the president. It rests with the entire association, and the collective decision of the association on the matter is that will matter.
Okay, we're grateful. That's CTAG President Prince Obinghima, and currently he says the group is taking a look at this latest directive. Thankfully, we have the Deputy Director of GTEC, Dr. Ahmed Jinapo, joining us live. Thank you so much for your time here on Joy News Prime, Doctor. Let's find out really the reasoning behind this particular decision that has been taken by GTEC through, I'm sure this is on the orders of the Education Minister. Can you give us a bit of insight into what really is the objective of this?
Well, I think basically CTAG have had some kind of engagement with government through GTEC relative to some arrears that needed to be paid them because they've been teaching all year round. In principle, government agrees to paying them. All the necessary arrangements have been put in place to get them paid. And if you look at the letter that you just referenced, the letter is very categorical that all arrears that is due CTAG should be paid for this month. Should be paid this month, excluding that of August salary. That being, in August, they didn't go to work. And as you rightly pointed out, there have been countless times that the Honorable Minister have invited them for meetings to try as much as possible to even listen to his side of the story, but they refuse. And we think that that has not been a good way to go, in the sense that notwithstanding whatever grievances that you have, you need to work within the spectrum of the law. In fact, National Labour Commission did direct them and they refused. So I think it's a lesson to all of us that you may have legitimate concerns, but those concerns need to be channeled and situated within the context of the rule of law. So the letter is very clear. They are going to be paid their arrears, but this month they didn't work, and as a result, their salaries are not going to be paid.
Okay, so just a bit of clarity. You mentioned, at least you made reference to that portion of the letter, that however any arrears before August, I should say, will be paid. Does it include the concerns that they are raising, for which reason they are on strike? Because the NLC had ordered government to make those payments and it wasn't done, for which reason they are on strike. So with these payments that will be made, does it include the demands that they are making?
Exactly so, exactly so. And as I did indicate, there had been arrangements to get this arrears, so to speak, paid as part of August salary. And they were called to the table, but they refused to heed to the call. And as I did indicate, the reason why they went on strike is what is going to be fulfilled in this month's payment. So for them not to go to classroom, for the calendar to be disrupted one way or the other, is what we think needs to be kept in future. So if they had heeded to the call by the Honorable Minister for them to sit on the table, all their grievances would have been addressed. And the question that you posed to them, that to the President, that will they be calling off their strike? I think it's automatic. The reason why they are on strike is because their arrears have not been paid. And if these arrears are paid, they have no justification not to go back to the classroom.
But really, let me find out. We know that there were concerns. We had asked them whether this strike is particularly illegal or not. There was no clear directive really on that, because the NLC had directed government to make some payments and it wasn't done. Now that it's been done, I'm wondering, CTAG maintains that they were on a legal strike and they are exploring all the options legally available to them in terms of why government is not paying them. Is government ready for any legal action if they would be able to do that?
My sister, the legality or otherwise of a strike is determined by the body that is close to the powers to do that, which is the National Labour Commission. The National Labour Commission invited them. They refused to appear before them, notwithstanding the fact that the National Labour Commission had directed government to take certain actions or to take certain steps towards they coming back to the classroom. The responsibility and onus lied on them to go back to the National Labour Commission to complain to the National Labour Commission that government have reneged on the promise that it was directed to deliver. That notwithstanding, in this current dispensation, as I did indicate, steps have been taken to address all their concerns. At the end of the day, the issue at stake is how do we get a solution to whatever concerns that they had. And this letter in itself is indicative of the fact that government is working or have worked to make sure that those arrears are being paid. And these arrears are going to be paid this month. So I don't think it's about whether they were right or wrong. The body that they reference has been the body that directed government to ensure that all their grievances are addressed. They refuse to adhere to the call of that body.
And
so I think this is a lesson to all of us.
So briefly, will there be further actions apart from withholding their salary for August? Should they not call off the strike and it enters September, they will continue to fulfill their salaries?
Well, I wouldn't be able to speak to that. All what we know for now is that their arrears are going to be paid. The reason why they are on strike, the issue is going to be addressed. Once that issue is addressed, we believe the right thing to be done is for them to go back to the classroom and to continue to engage GTech or to continue to engage government.
Okay.
The issues that they have, those issues are not going to be solved immediately. Issues will keep on coming up.
Okay.
And the only way to address those issues is engagement, dialogue, and discourse. But when you take an entrenched position, that you're not even going to accept an invitation to sit on the table, to speak, or to put your grievances on the table, then I think that's the wrong approach.
Okay.
And that is what we are trying to avoid.
We'll leave it here for now. Thank you so much for making time to be with us. Professor Ahmed Jinapor there is the Acting Director General of GTech. And we'll take a quick break here on Joy News Prime. We'll return with more stories. Please do stay with us. Welcome back. This is Joy News Prime. Now, the tragic phenomenon of children taking their own lives is a heart-wrenching issue that has become increasingly prevalent in recent years. These young lives were extinguished far too soon, leaving families, communities, and the entire country grappling with the aftermath. It's emerging that excessive academic pressure, driven by higher expectations from parents and educational institutions, and coupled with parents who do not pay attention to the traits their children exhibit, can push the children to the brink. We have part 2 of our Hotline documentary, Whispers in the Dark, by my colleague Ohiming Teria.
Jared was a stellar student and academically disciplined who maintained an academic GPA of 4.0. He was awarded a Triton College Scholarship Program scholarship after high school in 2019. His parents and siblings, who are yet to come to terms with his death, have been left in a state of confusion.
Death is death, but suicide death is a different death. Why is it different? Because the loved ones left behind are left to ponder as to why. You can blame it on anybody but yourself or somebody. So that's why it makes it a unique death. If somebody killed, or if they had a car accident, you can just say, oh, he was on his way to a different town and then he got, rear-ended or T-boned by another vehicle, and so he died of a motor vehicle accident. But in this case, it's unique, and you just wonder, what was the person experiencing, right? Why were you not available? What could you have done differently to have helped the person? And then you just keep wondering. It never ends. And the pain, I just can't describe.
Little did the family know Jared, described as a complete student, was battling with depression, a mental health condition from his teenage days, something he kept from his relatives.
He did actually start experiencing that, and he never discussed it. But just combing through his stuff and some of the notes that he had left, was able to confirm that he was battling depression and suicidal thoughts, and he didn't know how to share it. But I quite remember that although he was very enthusiastic, he was one of the kids that was very shy and almost very isolative in most instances. So all the time I had to call him to come out and do stuff. But I never connected the dots, because he came out, he would do what he needs to do. But I didn't realize that when he was alone, he was struggling with his mind. He was battling his mind, and he was in a really, really dark place that he never disclosed.
There is, however, hope for people with suicidal ideation and other mental health issues. The Mental Health Authority has introduced a life-saving intervention by offering persons who require psychosocial support the opportunity to call and receive instant advice from mental health experts. The call comes at no cost to callers. Health Minister Kwekwaji Maimenu says he's aware there has been an upsurge in the number of suicide cases involving children.
We are very much aware. We have a whole agency that works in that, Mental Health Authority. Some time back, this thing was coming up. There was an upsurge, and the chief executive of that authority actually had to talk to the nation and things like that. We need to get some reports from them at the moment.
Whilst promising an action on the situation, Mr. Menu, who is also a member of parliament for Doma Central, described as prompter details of our findings on how lives of children are being lost to suicide.
We have created what we call the Psychology Council. It is working now. We are registering psychologists. Some of these challenges we need to resolve with some psychology advice and things like that. So we are head on with that. But you see, there are certain things that you wouldn't know immediately when it's mental disorders until something happens. But I think this is a prompter. We'll see how we can reconcentrate and put attentions in that respect.
You definitely want to catch part 2 of Whispers in the Dark with Ohimenteria at 8:30. We're right back with Showbiz. It's time for Showbiz, and Rebecca Cheneboa Dako is in the studio. With Bex, Vibes Becky with the good hair. Becky on a Monday. Hello, Becky.
You're the only one who knows all my, the names that my parents gave me.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, Chinemo. So Joy Entertainment, Joy News, my Joy Online, the whole multimedia. Multimedia is a very big platform.
The biggest,
if you're not following any of our platforms, please go ahead, go and do something. Just click the like buttons and all of that. That's the reason why Chaliwate, we're partnering Chaliwate this year, and they've moved it to Osu. Today we kickstart Chaliwate. I don't know.
The white procession, meditative procession. That's the 13th edition.
And that's what everybody's looking out for. Everybody's thinking, what exactly happened? Here is what happened.
Currently, we are at the Osu Castle, and yes, it is the 13th edition of the Chaliwate Festival. And when we came here, all the people were getting registered, artists were putting up their artworks, and many more. Today is the first day. They are about to start with the procession. So join me as we join them to procession into the Osu town. Okay, so you're about to start with the procession, and I've got a couple of diasporans here. I want to talk to them and find out why they traveled all the way to come here. So hello, how are you doing?
Hi, fantastic. How are you?
I'm good. Can you tell us your name?
My name is Botlhale Boikanyo.
I can't pronounce that. And what's your name?
I love that. Paul.
Thanks for saving me. Anyways, you traveled all the way from South Africa to come to Ghana to witness the Chaliwate Festival. Why?
Because this is one of the biggest festivals of its kind in all of West Africa, so we couldn't wait to come and experience it in person. We are also showcasing a film on Wednesday, so we are quite excited about that.
Okay. Yeah. All right. What about you?
Yeah, same thing. I am one of the actresses in the film, so we're showcasing the film, The Deal, on Wednesday.
We just want to know more about it. So, can you tell me more about what just happened earlier?
We are processing from the Christian World Castle to the Osu Township. Now, as you can see, we have the Osu Ulomo, who is the principal chief Ulomo of the Osu. Yeah. So you need to, once you are passing to somebody's house, you need to go to the person's house and ask for permission.
Okay, so that was what you did earlier.
We went there for the Ulomo to pray for us so that it will be a successful procession. Okay. What is going to be any bad or any negative energy should drive away. Okay. So we went there to pay homage to the ancestors. Okay. So as you can see, we went to the Ulomo's place to pray for us so that we can have a successful procession.
Okay. All right, Ni, I see you have this around your neck. What does it signify? And first of all, what's the name of it?
It's called Isoup. But in the local language, you call it Nyanyina.
Nyanyina?
Okay. Nyanyina, but that is called Isoup. We are used to drive away negative energies. As we process through the township, there are some bad and negative energies around. So this is in spirituality, it's used to drive away negative energies and also serve as a cleanser for purification.
All right. We also have Miss Bell here. Miss Bell, how are you?
I'm okay.
So how do you see the whole procession so far? It just started.
It's spiritual and it's going well put together.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. And what is I see you having this one. Does it mean anything to you?
It's an African accessory, but yes, you can put some cleansing spirits in there. So as we are walking, if the energy doesn't feel right, you cleanse yourself.
they have to pour libation. It is part of tradition that when you get there, you just have to let them know that you are passing. And secondly, the fact that maybe something bad might have happened at that intersection.
That's why you can see them shaking the bells around. So it's also form part of invocation and communication.
Invoking, so communicating with the spirit.
Exactly. And
Chaliwate Street Festival. For those of you who still don't know, we're on from this evening through Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's a lot to expect. I told you about Kofi also paper last weekend, and the event actually happened.
Great.
China Hamilton, your favorite. Those of you who missed it, here you go.
I wish I had an answer. I don't know how I come by them. So it's very clear that I don't sit down to say this is going to be the idea, but I'm always trusting God to grant me ideas, and some way, somehow, He makes a way. He makes a way. But I have a good team too. The band is great, so it makes life easier.
You know, I'm that person. I always want to. I know it's quite awkward, you know, and I know that we all know that Jesus gets the glory, but I always want to emphasize that we are vessels and we are empty without Him. We give Him glory. Whatever you saw there was Jesus doing His own thing, and I want to tell you, looking at me or watching me on Joy Prime, that God can do it through you.
So Kofi also paper right there. Also, for those of you in the US, Minnesota, you actually experienced the landlord. Congratulations to all the musicians out there making the motherland proud.
I'm sad.
Yes, Stoneboy.
I'm sad.
Why are you sad?
I'm sad.
I mean, we cannot start can't start having this conversation again.
So where did Sarkodie perform again? Minnesota?
Sarkodie is
was it a stadium?
No, it wasn't a stadium.
It wasn't a stadium.
It's his album, you know, thing. That what are you trying to prove?
Okay, I'm just hoping that
we will get there.
When?
Oh, well, next year after the elections.
Okay. Let's wrap up. It's a wrap here on Joine's Prime Monday edition. Hopefully we'll get to the O2 Arena shortly. There's more when you log on to
we'll beat you. Leave us alone.
There's more when you log on to
myjoyonline.com.
Pius Kojobaka is up next
with Prime Business.
Prime Business.
Hello, a great evening to you. Warm welcome to Prime Business with me, Pius Kojobaka. To our very first story, the Bank of Ghana has maintained it took funds from existing resources to finance government's operations for last year. It is therefore rejecting arguments that it had to print fresh currencies to finance government's budget for last year. George Yafe was at the press conference organized by the Bank of Ghana and has the rest of the story.
Addressing the media at the headquarters here at the Bank of Ghana on High Street, the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, maintained that the decision to kickstart the construction of the new headquarters at Ridge started in 2019.
The project has therefore been going on for over 3 years. The DDEP only took place in January 2023. If we were to be taking the decision today, building a legacy head office would not have been a priority. However, this is a project that has been running for 3 years and about 50% complete. The bank is fully aware of its responsibilities to ensure that the costs do not escalate beyond reasonable levels, and that many of the original design features, including the data center, the currency processing center, ICT equipment, and specialized security features will have been deferred, and only gray boxes provided for future use to manage costs.
Did the Bank of Ghana go ahead to print money to finance government's operations? This is what the governor had to say.
Now, when we talk about overdraft, it is not money that the bank has gone to print and lending to government, right? An overdraft is just lending. It's an accounting entry, more or less, of debits on government's account, right? So, you know that as a central bank, we also have reserve requirements, for example, on commercial bank deposits. Commercial banks keep their reserves with us, right? It's 10%, right? The reserve requirement is 10%. Those resources are here, in our books here. So we have the money. We don't have to go and print it. So there are two separate issues. I mean, the government spending that leads to debits to the government account. If there is any need to make a payment, we have the money here on the basis of, monies that the commercial banks have brought to us as reserve requirements, for example. You don't need to go and print money before you can lend money to government. They're completely unrelated. But I know it's just mischief when people try to say, they printed money. It's more sensationalism.
From the boardroom here at the High Street of the Bank of Ghana headquarters, this is George Jaffe reporting for Joy Business.
Meanwhile, financial economist Professor Lord Mensah is questioning the propriety in using reserves of commercial banks to finance government's operations in 2022.
Those, reserves deposit reserves are purposely for, exposures like, the shocks that, banks are likely to receive when the economy start to turn down. So, using it to finance government activities, I asked myself a question whether the core mandate of those, 10% deposit reserves was purposely to finance government reserve. And even if it's supposed to be used to finance government activities, was it supposed to go directly to the government? You see, that 5% limit that is placed for central bank to extend to the government, there is economic importance to it. When it comes to the central bank must maintain the economic resilience of the economy over a longer term, devoid of political regimes. If you are extending, funds into the economy and you wire it through the channels of the fiscal corridors or through the government, you end up, having monies going into sectors that are politically motivated. And as a result of that, may not necessarily be productive, may not necessarily be, something that will re-energize the economy for the economy to pick up again. But then on the other hand, if you wire it through an independent channel, which is the corridors of the bank, through, lower interest rate lending to the banks and other things, it has a way of building up into sectors that are most efficient in the economy. But from the theories and then the empirics that we study, the banks have the tendency to identify which sectors of the economy that are performing well. So to say that you are financing, government using commercial bank reserves, I hold a different view on that. I don't think the purpose of that reserve is to finance government activity.
Now, the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, insists it kick-started the process to construct the new office building in 2019, arguing that it took funding from profits made over the years to finance the project. The Bank of Ghana has been given some more details in the following document that it has released. And I would like to share that with you. It says, in the year 2011, the board of directors of the central bank agreed that the bank must consider looking for a suitable land for the new headquarters. The board of the bank, at its 62nd regular meeting, directed the Corporate Management and Services Department of the bank on 18th December 2019 to initiate all processes for the development of a new corporate headquarters for the Bank of Ghana. And the statement goes on to read, the project site was officially handed to the contractor in March 2021 for commencement of preliminary site works and designs. The project consists of 3 main blocks, namely the tower, urban and amenities blocks, including basement, podium, and ancillary facilities. And that's what we have for you by way of Prime Business here on the Joy News channel. Razak.
Hello there, welcome to Prime Sports with me, Razak Musbaut. Let's start off with the World Athletics Championship underway in Budapest, Hungary, where Botswana's 20-year-old sprinter Leslie Tebogo made history in Budapest on Sunday night, becoming the first African to win a medal in the men's 100-meter at the World Athletics Championship. Now, the 200-meter junior champion and record holder finished second behind American Noah Lyles in a huge new national record of 9.88 seconds in front of a park capacity of 40,000 crowd at the National Athletics Center. Now, Uganda's Joshua Cheptegei also delivered a devastating last lap to win a third successive world championship in the 10,000-meter race over there. Well, my colleague Fencho Tahiru Fencho monitored all of this event and came through with this report. Well, away from that, Ghanaian long jumper Deborah Akwa, she's been lamenting the country's neglect despite sacrificing competing through injury to win a bronze medal at the Commonwealth Games in 2022. Well, in an exclusive interview with Joy Sports, Tahiru Fencho at the ongoing World Athletics Championship in Budapest, Akwa attributed her inability to qualify for the finals of the women's long jump to an injury she has carried for more than 1 year.
Right now, if I decide to still continue doing track, then I might need a little bit of help. I'm not asking Ghana to give me the whole money in the world, like, you know, I'm saying help. I'm not saying give me, like, you know, like everything you have, like support. So let me say that, support, just a little support, because I'm already supporting myself. That's what I did throughout the whole season, you know, but it just wasn't enough. So
and if the support doesn't come?
If the support doesn't come, I'll still keep on doing my best. Yeah, so if my best doesn't take me to where I want to be, then I'll just be there. I know Ghana can do the best to support. I'm not the only one. Like, we all need help. Yeah, so yeah, I think Ghana can do their best to kind of support us, you know. And then, because at the end of the day, if I had qualified, what would they say? It wouldn't be Deborah Akwa, but Deborah Akwa from Ghana. I remember last year when we, Azamati and I, were, I think, the world leaders. But when we posted, you know, the former, vice president posted. So it's not only going to benefit Deborah or myself and my family, but then Ghana as a whole. Yeah. So then, victory has if we fans. Both are going to benefit, then why not help push the talent? Yeah, so. That's a fair.
Away from athletics, let's do some football now. And news coming in from Manchester United is that Mason Greenwood is set to leave the club after some internal investigation into his alleged abuse of his girlfriend. Well, the club did release a statement, and we have it on your screen shortly, and you can see the statement from the club. A statement from the club. Let's just so this is also Greenwood responded to the statement from the. Yeah, and so Greenwood did respond, but the club released a statement before Greenwood's statement, and they indicated that after the internal investigation, it was to in the best interest of the player and the club for the player to continue his career elsewhere, away from the club. Well, the club also indicated that in the internal investigation that was carried out, Mason Greenwood was found not guilty of any of the allegations that were leveled at him. And that's something that Mason Greenwood has insisted, that he is not guilty of the allegations of having abused his girlfriend. That matter has since been thrown out of court way back in February, but Manchester United continued to look into the matter because the matter was not concluded in a very thorough manner, according to the club. So Mason Greenwood is leaving Manchester United. It lives to be seen where he will end up. We understand there's been rumors, there's been interest from Saudi Arabia for him, and also interest from Paris Saint-Germain in France, but it lives to be seen where he will end up as far as his future is concerned. That is the statement from the club. And you can see you can see that's the statement from Mason Greenwood, and he says, the first paragraph says, based on the evidence available to us, we have concluded that the material posted online did not provide a full picture and that Mason did not commit the offenses in respect of which he was originally charged. That said, as Mason publicly acknowledges today, he has made mistakes which he is taking responsibility for. So that's Manchester United statement there, profound, that based on the evidence available to them, they have concluded that Mason Greenwood is not guilty of the allegations that were leveled at him. And Mason himself did release a statement responding to Manchester United's decision to terminate his future at the club. And he said, you can see in the second paragraph, it says that I was brought up to know that violence or abuse in any relationship is wrong. I did not do the things I was accused of, and in February, I was cleared of all charges. However, I fully accept I made mistakes in my relationship, and I take my share of responsibility for the situations which led to the social media posts. I am learning to understand my responsibilities to set a good example as a professional footballer, and I'm focused on the big responsibility of being a father as well as a good partner. So we'll wait to see where Mason Greenwood will end as far as his future is concerned. And that's all we have for you in Prime Sports tonight. We'll be back same time tomorrow, 8:30, with more in the world of sports. Please do have a lovely evening.